All right, Bigfoot Society. I've got the privilege of talking to Matt today. Matt is out there in Portland, Oregon area. He's an outdoorsman, a hiker, and a fisherman. And he's had some really interesting things happen out there over the years. So he's on the show to talk about that today. How are you doing today, Matt?
Doing pretty good.
Awesome. One of my favorite things to talk to people about Oregon, and especially really that Cascade region. I know we're going to be going a few different places, but that area right outside of Portland, the Clackamas area, the Mount Hood National Forest is just is a very cool place to visit. But Matt, feel free to take us back to when your whole Bigfoot journey started for you. What was the first thing that kind of got you into it?
So, I've heard and, obviously seen the Patterson-Gimlin film growing up. So it's kind of always in the back of my head. The very first encounter, I think I was back in college or senior year of high school. And me and my buddy were hiking down a logging road into kind of a secluded area at the coast near Seaside for spring Chinook. And we had to, it was on like private timberland, so we had to park our car and hike on a logging road for probably like 4 miles, and then bushwhack through a clear cut down to a canyon. And then from there, we'd hike this very isolated canyon and just hook a bunch of salmon. And when we got down there this day, it had rained a lot, and we got down there and the river was just really high and muddy. And so we were really bummed out. And so, because we just did all that work to get in there, many hours of hiking. And so my buddy tried a new rig to fish, which was called back bouncing. I didn't think it was going to work. And we ended up hooking back-to-back limits of salmon after we switched up the technique. And it went from like a total bummed out, we're not going to hook anything, we just wasted our time day, to just like, soaring on the clouds of accomplishment. And right at the moment when we finally both got our limits and we're just kind of sitting around eating lunch, just really happy, we heard these wood knocks. And the wood knocks came from about 100 feet above us because we were in a really deep canyon. And the wood knocks were so loud that I could feel the sound waves like hit my chest. Like I remember that. The feeling of the sound was like it was like at a concert. Like when you go to the concert and you stand right next to the big subwoofers and it hits you in the chest. And so when I heard that, I knew exactly, I just knew in my head, I'm like, man, that's something huge with like a bat striking a tree. And so I'm a pretty big guy, I'm like 6'5", and so I picked up the biggest stick I could, and I wood knocked back, and I was trying to hit it as loud and as hard as I could, and it responded back like immediately, but I could not recreate like 1/10 of that sound. And so that was the first encounter, and we never did see it, but those wood knocks catapulted me into a lot of research. And it was started listening to Sasquatch Chronicles right when it started, Wes Germer's channel. And I kind of just stuck with that for many years. I went a very long time in between encounters. And I was cool with that because like I was terrified, like I just wanted to go out there, hike and catch my salmon and have a good camping trip if I was camping. And I really just didn't want anything. I didn't want to see one ever. And then, yeah. And so after that, It's probably about 5 or 10 years later when I had another encounter. And when I talk about these encounters tonight, it's very distinct. They will go from like really mild, really kind of just like easygoing encounters. And then there's a very distinct moment when the encounters just like get really intense and amplified. And I'll get to that. But yeah, so after that first wood knock experience, I, at this point, I've done like years of research. I know they exist. I was talking to my coworker about it at the time, and he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me, but he wanted to go camping with me, and so he loved camping right up 224 outside of Estacada. I guess they call it the Sasquatch Highway or Bigfoot Highway or something like that. And
It
I
is
didn't
called the Oregon Bigfoot Highway. Yeah, you're correct.
Oregon Bigfoot Highway, yeah. I didn't know that at the time, but he just loved, camping up there, kind of past Fish Creek. I didn't know exactly where we went this day, but he was like, "Yeah, let's go on a camping trip." He had this trailer he just got. He was really excited about it. Getting a little camping trailer for his family. Wanted to test it out. So we drove up there after work on our weekend, like 3 or 4 hours. And we lived in Oregon City area at the time. And so I just remember driving through the night, well off the main road, up logging roads. And then we finally reached the end of this logging road and it was just completely washed out. And so we just camped right there. And when he was in bed and I was sitting by the fire, I heard this weird mumbling in the distance, like behind me, and it sounded like something was having like a hushed conversation. And so I heard that mumbling, and then the next morning, my buddy, we woke up, and he was just like, "Let's just hike up that road and just see where it goes." And so we're hiking, and at this point, he's given me a lot of grief over the subject, but I know what I heard, and I generally like to warn everyone at least about like what's in the woods, if they're an outdoors type of person, just so they can be safe, and just truly know what's out there. And so we got up there, and on our way it was either on our way back down another route or at the last part of going up, we found these tree breaks that were about 10 to 11 feet off the ground, like in a row. And again, we were like 4 hours, 3 hours drive up a logging road that washed out. And then we hiked like another 5 or 6 miles up the washout, and then found these tree breaks, And I was like, to my friend, I was just like, what do you think caused that? I was just like, he is a really scientific mind oriented person, I was like, there's no cable, burn marks around a tree. There's no tracks to have equipment come in. And these trees were, they're pretty big sized trees. And so once he realized that like something with hands went out there and broke them in a row, about 10 feet, 11 feet high, he had a panic attack and he couldn't get off the mountain. And so, I ended up having to like coax him down the mountain. Probably one of the worst panic attacks I've like ever seen. But, I wasn't holding it against him, because it is pretty terrifying at first once you know what's in the woods. So that'd be my second encounter.
I want to jump in real quick, Matt, to provide some context for that area, if that's all right.
Yeah.
The area you're talking about right there is a really intense area. People may have heard about that area recently in the news and not realized it. And I'm not saying so there was an individual, a hunter that went missing in Estacada. His name was Devin Dobeck, I believe. And he was that was in the same area, that Fish Creek campground where he went missing and then he was found. Now, I'm not saying that it was due to Bigfoot, but I'm saying that this area is wilderness that you're talking about. And whenever I talk about the Oregon Bigfoot Highway, I put a huge disclaimer in there. If you go down in that area, you got to be prepared for anything. You got to have extra tire, extra gas. There's all sorts of weird stuff out there. So go ahead.
Absolutely. After the wood knocks and the tree breaking experiences, I had I can't confirm it was a Bigfoot, but just because of the eye shine, and then actually seeing them and then looking back on it, I'm like, that was probably a Bigfoot. But on the Sandy River, I hiked in before sunrise, and down a trail I've been down my whole life, and just caught some green eye shine, where the eye shine was pretty big, like the actual eyeballs, and the spacing of the eye shine was really wide. I mean, like wider than any animal I'd seen at the time. And it was like off a perfect spot off the trail to like ambush, So, yeah, saw that with some green eye shine. And then another experience that I had hiking at night after fishing near Oxbow Park on the Sandy. I was the last fisherman off the bank that day. The sun had just set, and from across the river, I could hear something huge and grunting and making just the strangest sounds I've ever heard an animal make in the woods, kind of just breaking its way down to the riverbank. And then that about ends it for the just the we call it the calm encounters. And
can I ask you something about the first Sandy River thing real quick, Matt? I just got a question about that. Was that in the same area as Oxbow, or because I know the Sandy goes quite a ways, right?
Yeah. The one with the eye shine, that was near the fish hatchery, Cedar Creek Fish Hatchery. At this point, I mean, listen to Sasquatch Chronicles and doing other research at the time, like in the early YouTube days, was just probably like my number one way of studying the subject. Because at this point, it's just like I'm having a lot of experiences so far. I have to figure out, like, what is this creature? Like what is going on, and why are they attracted? It seems like to me, like, because some people go their whole lives without hearing anything, and so one thing I have to bring up is at this point in my life, and right now I'm just like kind of nitpicking the Bigfoot stories out of a whole other experience I've had with the paranormal. So, and during this time I received, turn on my light. During this time I received like a full dose of the supernatural and paranormal. And I'm going to talk about what kind of set that off. And so just kind of being just the person I am with studying like the mysterious, I had started studying the occult and trying to figure out, like what is going on with this stuff. And when I had started researching into like occult practices and, like what is behind this, what are the forces, is this even real? I started to become haunted by fallen angels and demons. And at this point in time, I just out of desperation to save myself, from being terrorized every night, I had found Jesus, because that was the only name that would keep these entities away. And at this time, I had a Jewish background, and so when these entities came around, I tried like every name, Hebrew name, to try and keep them away. And as like a last ditch, effort, I threw out Jesus, and they left. And so that set off a whole other list of experiences that I could talk about, on another channel, and I have. I've gone on a few channels talking about it. But so right now, leading up to these next experiences, I am literally fighting off demons and being haunted every night. So, and I just want to say right here that Bigfoot, the paranormal, it's all connected. And yeah, it's all connected. So at this point, I am just going through it, really spiritually going through it. Now it's just like, I really just want to go on a fishing trip to that secretive river by Seaside where I had my first encounter. And when I drove out there, I parked and I was just going to sleep in my car, just on the edge of the wood line, and then wake up in the morning and hike in. And as I was trying to go to bed, I noticed that there was a drone, like not too far above my car. And I just didn't like that at all. And right about the same time that I noticed the drone, I noticed a lot of grunts, a lot of grunts and a lot of tree breaks. And I was probably only like 10 feet away from the tree line. And I knew what it was. I knew what was going on. It seemed like multiple Bigfoot had come to the tree line and they were grunting and breaking branches. And I could see orange eye shine. And at this point, I started, it seemed like receiving like psychic communications from them. It felt like my mind was being overwhelmed with just words and feelings and emotions. And I was in my car, and my knee was really hurt bad. Like I was contemplating, like, how am I going to make this hike tomorrow? And I have graphite fishing rods that were sitting in the car as well. And so when this whole troop family of Bigfoot, are just right in the tree line, they didn't come out of the tree line. They just stayed right there. I think maybe because the drone, the drone was sitting there and just like capturing all of it. I just thought that was so strange. And so while that is all going on, I started getting hit by what I think is infrasound. It was an extremely low vibration, and I remember my rod tips, my graphite rod tips in my car were just like waving back and forth. But the infrasound was like healing my knee. My knee was just really swollen. I had hurt it at work. And it felt like it was just so soothing on my knee. And I was like, oh, seems like they're trying to heal my knee before the fishing trip, or something like that. So I went to bed, I woke up, I went fishing, and a bunch of other stuff happened during that fishing trip. But Bigfoot wise, that was the end of that experience.
I have a few questions for you about that. That is extremely fascinating. That's a pattern I've seen come up on just my show a few times where there is some healing aspect. And I do not know what to think about that so far. But my question for you is, so you're getting, you said these words and emotions. Do you remember any of the words you were getting or the emotions you were feeling?
Yeah, it was, I'm trying to, without sounding crazy, you know what I mean?
Say
I'm pretty sure
whatever you got. Say it, Matt. You're good, man.
I had like a psychic communication with them, and it was just
Hmm.
regarding like, are you a Bigfoot family? You know, like yes, and um, you know how have you guys seen me come? Because I've been out to this spot for years, and it was like the place of like my first encounter, and it was just like a lot of yeses to my questions. But I asked them one question. I was like, "Is there a bunch of fish down there?" And they're like, "Yes." And they were right. There
That's
was a bunch
awesome.
of fish that day.
Sweet.
But yeah, so yeah, that's what happened there. And at the same time that was going on, a drone was like 30, 50 feet above the car. And that just
Oh
like
my
really
goodness.
yeah, it just really freaked me out. And it just like it made me feel like someone's watching, but it was just a really kind of bad time for me, you know. I don't know
What?
how to explain that, but
Yeah, that's an incredible experience. What year was that approximately?
oh, 2022, 2021.
Okay.
Um, the
Okay.
whole demonic thing really kicked up after COVID. That's when it kicked up.
Wow, really? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Okay.
right
Yeah,
around
dude.
right around Halloween too, like a week or
Uh-huh.
two after Halloween. That's when it started kicking
Okay.
off. So yeah, that experience was yeah, probably 2021. Yeah, in
Okay.
the spring. In
Um,
the spring,
so then the next day, was your knee completely healed then, or how was that going?
it felt better. It felt better.
Okay.
it,
Yeah,
it
sure.
yeah, it felt better. And during that fishing trip, I did find some Bigfoot scat, and yeah, that was like I was expecting like this next day, like huge reveal. They come out in broad daylight, you know. We were just talking to you, Matt, you know, and they did not. It seems like they only come out at night.
Did you go over to that tree line the next day and see if you could find any tracks or anything like that?
I did. I intended to, but when I woke up in the morning, before sunrise, you know, I was just focused on getting to the river, get down there, fish, catch my fish, because you know that's what I'm there to do. And then on my way out, you know, kind of look around. But that during that whole fishing trip, I got harassed by um, the timberland property owners who never really have harassed me, you know, fishing there before. And so that just like really put a damper on, you know, going to that tree line and like looking for prints and stuff.
Were they trying to just get you off the property, you think, or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
okay. I wonder if
Yeah.
if it was their drone then. Who knows?
After that fishing trip, you know, just suffered a lot of other paranormal things. And then I got another fishing trip lined up. It was like literally the very next fishing trip. And this fishing trip happened later in spring. Um, and so this next Bigfoot encounter was really, really scary, really intense. My Me and my buddy had a plan to go anchor his boat in the Columbia River Gorge in the Columbia River, right below Bonneville Dam, um, in the springtime, right off the tip of this island in the middle of the river. And in the springtime, the Columbia is the highest, and the Willamette is usually the highest and has the fastest current. And my buddy bailed on me at the last minute. And so I was pretty bummed out, but I knew in my head that if I could just get to that island, I could fish off the bank with a technique and camp on that island. And so in my head, I set out to take one of my whitewater rafts. and I was going to launch at Beacon Rock and, you know, row my way to this island. And so I got out there. I barely made it out to the island. The river was so fast, like extremely fast. And I probably rode across like a mile of river in the gorge. Like I think the Columbia is sometimes like a mile and a half to 2 miles across. And so I made it out to this island, and I set up camp, got in a really good fishing spot. Um, and then the encounter happened somewhere around 1 or 2 a.m. It was kind of doing a light rain, and the weather was lightly raining, and it was kind of keeping me up. And so I remember I was frying some fish over the fire right around 1 or 2 a.m. And I looked up from my campfire just across, since it was a small island too, and looked across, and I saw three sets of glowing orange eyes, like bigger than a golf ball, but smaller than a baseball in size. And so there's three sets of them, three creatures. And I just looked up, you know, with my headlamp and the fire, and saw them walking. And they must have been about, I don't know, 40 feet away when I noticed them. And they weren't like peeking or looking. They're just walking straight up on me, you know. And so I jumped up, and I started screaming at them, and they wouldn't stop. And so because of the increase of paranormal activity I was experiencing, and then just kind of like my lifelong fear of Bigfoot and what's in the woods, I had gotten myself like a green laser that shoots, you know, one of those ones that shoots like 10 miles. And the reason I got that is because long ago on Wes's channel, he had on some guys that said the green laser, if you shine it in a Bigfoot's eyes, it will permanently blind them. And so I had this laser on me. And when these three Bigfoot were walking up on me, and they weren't stopping, I took out the green laser, and I just, you know, I didn't want to like hit it immediately in the eye and piss them off, you know. I kind of, you know, waved the laser around. They weren't stopping. And then so I remember I finally got one right in the eye. And the second I hit one right in the eyeball, they all three stopped at the same time, as if they were like linked up as like one mind. And then they all kind of turned to the side and walked away. But and at this point they're probably like 30 feet away, and you know, I couldn't see like colors or, you know, the color of them. It was at night, but I could see their whole dark form. And when they turned and walked away, it looked like they were doing like this like forward moonwalk, and it was freaky. And I I couldn't believe that those creatures swam across the Columbia River at night. You know, the current must have been like 5 or 6 miles an hour, you know, during that time. But and so after I finally, you know, shone the laser in their eyes and they left, I was just probably the most terrified I've ever been in my life. I called my mom, you know, just to tell her what happened. And I remember she laughed at me. She laughed. And so right after that, I was in Skamania. It's in Skamania County, the area I was at. I called the Skamania County Sheriff's Office, and they sent a boat out. And the boat sat anchored right off the island in the river, like a Skamania County Sheriff's Office jet boat, you know. And they sat with me all night, you know, to, I think, you know, observe, and, you know, it brought me comfort, you know. So in the morning I left, and yeah. That was really scary.
That's intense, Matt. I got a few questions about that. So you're saying it's on the Washington side. I'm guessing, was that Cascades Island then?
It was Pierce Island.
Pierce Island. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
You actually could see like the silhouettes of them as they're
Oh yeah,
walking.
yeah.
How tall would you estimate that they were if you could see that?
10 or 12 feet tall. They were huge. It's like to me, it seemed like three big males. Just three of the biggest Bigfoot. Yeah,
That's
just
interesting.
ginormous.
And the way that Skamania sheriff boat reacted and just kind of hung out with you, it really makes you wonder if they've gotten calls like this before and they're like, oh, we may want to hang out here for a little bit. That really, really makes you wonder. But man,
Yeah.
that is wild. Have you ever been
So,
back to that island since?
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I fish there every spring, and with some of my buddies, I don't bring up the encounter, but like I was there last spring catching fish, just being, in my head, like, oh, that's right where they came up right there. So yeah, I've been back there quite a bit, and I'll be back there next spring. But yeah, I would like to mention, I haven't confirmed this, but I've always kind of heard that in Skamania County, I think it was like the first county to like recognize Bigfoot, and I'm pretty sure it's a felony charge to kill one if you had the chance. I haven't confirmed that, but something I've heard.
Was an ordinance that declared the county a Sasquatch refuge, made the willful slaying of Bigfoot a felony punishable by 5 years in prison, which was later amended to a gross misdemeanor, 1 year in jail, $1,000 fine. So, yeah, it's something you don't want to do in Skamania County and other places too. That has kind of happened in other counties too. What year was this again that you had the incident by the dam?
I'd say 2021 or 2022.
Okay. Gotcha.
At this point, it felt like I just had really dark forces that were trying to kill me, trick me, scare me. All because I had looked into the occult and found Jesus. And so it was. I truly felt like the devil was just trying to use whatever tool he had to scare the crap out of me and to make me lose heart and faith. And it was, on top of these Bigfoot encounters, again, I'll say like I was being haunted daily, nightly by spirits. So, anyways, so this brings me to my next set of encounters. This all happened in Welch's, and at this point in time, I had just had enough of Portland, and it felt like God was telling me to just immediately leave Portland and just move to Central Oregon and just get away from just everywhere else having bad experiences at, just kind of have like a fresh start. And, so at this point, in my head, when God tells you to do something, you should listen and follow through. And so
Absolutely.
I literally left my life, and I just went up to Mount Hood to just hide away from a lot of other stuff that was going on. And I really just wanted to hide in the woods and, work in a small mountain town. And so I didn't have any friends up there yet, up in Welch's, but I found a cool place to camp in the national forest, and I went out and I got like 3 part-time jobs. And so one of my part-time jobs up there was cleaning out Airbnbs Another one was tree cutting, arbory, with my friend who talked to me about getting on your show. And then my other part-time job was working at a Mexican restaurant in town. And so I'm just, hiding away in the forest, camping, and just working all these part-time simple jobs. And I remember, I'm out there in the Mount Hood National Forest every night sleeping. And the first weird thing I heard was just laughing in the woods. Just heard some laughing. And, I was really like hoping like, God's going to protect me from more encounters. But that laughing in the woods at night, like, was just the start of more encounters. And the I forget how long it was of me being out there before I saw this Bigfoot, but again, it was at night during a full moon. I walked from my tent to my truck just to get something, and I was using a headlamp. And when I got out to my truck, I could just see like just those huge golf ball glowing orange eyes in the tree line just off the road, probably like 40 or 50 feet away. And they're at my eye level, And so I just I turned my headlamp on really bright. I started like bobbing my head up and down, like I was just kind of scared and just trying to just do something funny. And the Bigfoot started bobbing his head up and down too. And, just kind of mimicking me. And the eyes are at like, my eye level, 6 or 7 feet. But then, when he started bobbing, he stood up and he was at like 10 feet tall. And so, I was just like, man, I got to go to bed and wake up for work tomorrow. So I just walked back to my tent and went to bed. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude. We got to talk for a few minutes about this area.
Oh yeah, and this is
I want listeners.
This is off of Lolo Pass Road.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to double check that with you. So, listeners, if you've heard Lolo Pass in Lolo Pass Road come up on the show, this is the exact area. This is the Mount. It's also called Mount Hood Village too. The episodes this area has come up so far. Gary Allen's episodes. You've heard him, how he takes his electric bike and his girlfriend takes his horse up there and how they experienced all that stuff. And then there was the gentleman who was at a campground in this area and they saw a dark figure down close to the ground. And then it stood up to be a very tall Sasquatch, but then it turned into a black form of smoke and went over the creek nearby. It's just a very, very strange area. Lolo Pass is extremely active. So I was like, it's got to be the same area. I'm just curious. I can cut this out too if I need to. Are you able to share the campground that this happened at, or is that a thing where you're kind of keeping that up your sleeve?
Yeah, no. I don't care. I'll tell you exactly where it happened. So when I found this spot, it was it's not at the campground that's all the way at the end of Lolo Pass Road. That big camping area on your way up to those that waterfall. Really nice, beautiful waterfall up there. I was camping Falls. Like Ramona Falls. Yep. I was camping like in between people's houses. There was this little sliver of national forest that came up and they crossed over this creek with like a parking spot. And so I was just like, I'm going to park my truck right here and I'm going to camp and, drink creek water and, just kind of hide away. But yeah, I was literally these creatures, where I saw these creatures, was literally in everyone's backyard area.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, because there's
Yeah,
Airbnbs up that road for sure. Yeah. So
yeah,
you weren't at an actual campground, but you were in a place where you could camp.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay. Oh
yeah,
my goodness. I'm not surprised at all. That area is just bonkers. The stuff I've heard. My goodness. So
yeah.
did you stay there for a few days or were you like, I'm out of here?
I was just like, all I know is I can't go back to Portland. I have to move away. And, at the time, my family was just not, and friends just what were not believing what I was going through. So I was just like, I'm on my own and I'm just going to hide away up here in Mount Hood and, make my way to Central Oregon. But, but yeah, so another thing I'd like to add, is, I was working cleaning out Airbnbs, as one of my part-time jobs. And some were just like right down from where I was camping and, kind of all over the Welch's area. And every single one of them, they always are just like, all right, make sure you lock up the garbage, Matt. Like we have problems with black bears and I would go out there and look at some of the damage. Like a lot of people in Welch's have like these elaborate wooden crate locked garbages, and oh, the black bears keep breaking into them. I'm like, no, the Bigfoot are breaking into your garbages and eating all
Right.
your food,
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what I think they were doing is they were coming down Lolo Pass Road and they would just, go through everyone's neighborhood, go through their garbage, and then people just chalked it up to black bears, So
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. So working in that area and living there for a while, would you hear stories from people that were also having Bigfoot encounters or sightings in that same area?
No, I kind of just kept it low key, only certain
Okay.
people, because I only knew my coworkers, from my various jobs up there. That one, the tree arborist that likes listening to your show, I was
Hmm.
sharing with him what I was going through, and he was just like, dude, you're crazy. And I don't know if I believe you, man, but I kind of believe you. While I was living, camping in Welch's and working, I had another encounter where one came. I was sleeping in my tent, and one came a foot away from my tent, and it was going through my food, the place where I stored my food, and yeah, and it was during the moon was out. I don't know if it was full or not, but I just remember waking up and seeing something making like the noise it was making was it was just like demonic. Like it was just like a really dark, demonic grunting breathing, it did not sound like a good animal, But it was hunched over, just going through my garbage, and I was just laying in bed and I was like a foot away from it. And I was just like, yeah, this is my life. This is my this is
Same
my everyday.
area. S-
Yeah, same area. Lolo Pass.
Oh wow, dude. I don't know how you survived just like
Yeah.
mentally just knowing that they're like right there and they're messing with me, dude. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Was this really recent or was this like 2023 or what would you say?
Yeah, I'd say this was about 2023, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Spring of 2023. A lot of my encounters happen in the spring, I've noticed. Yeah. I think they hide away in the wintertime. So, but yeah,
Absolutely.
so um so then within the same area of Welch's, but in a different side of Welch's, I had driven my truck up the Salmon River. And so on the complete other side of town from where I was camping and having these Bigfoot experiences, I had driven my truck up the Salmon River, and I just felt like sleeping in my truck, and just kind of camping out for the night. And I woke up to one Bigfoot coming within 3 feet of my car window, and it just kind of looking in. It was different because it had green glowing eyes, and its eyes, they were so bright and green that it like illuminated its facial features. And so this encounter, it was just different. And the facial features, it looked like a really stereotypical like half man, half gorilla, but more gorilla. And so when I had this encounter, it just seemed kind of suspicious to me because at the same time, I'm coming out of being haunted by fallen entities. And what I can say about fallen entities, demons, fallen angels, what have you, is that they shapeshift. And they can take on different forms. So, but yeah, I mean, like, I definitely saw a Bigfoot with green glowing eyes right from my car window. And yeah, it was just completely different. And then immediately after that, just like at the top of the ridge going down to the river, I could see two other sets of green glowing huge Bigfoot eyes kind of like scanning around and looking, like kind of peeking over the edge. And so yeah, that was the other experience I had in Welch's.
So it's interesting. You're saying half man, half gorilla look to the face. What were the features that looked more man-like that you remember?
Maybe just like the eyes, and maybe the nose wasn't. Maybe the nose was more gorilla-like, but I remember its face was just like the bottom half of its face was like a gorilla, but that's how I remember it, was like a man-like gorilla, just like your stereotypical look.
I want to make sure I got that right. So you are thinking that because of the other spiritual things you have going on in your life, that what you're looking at, because it looks a little different, it might actually be like a shape-shifting demon or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow, dude.
Yeah.
How long was it looking at you for?
Oh, probably like a minute. And then it kind of just walked to the tree line and just kind of stood there while these other two, Bigfoot sets of eyes came up. I could see their eyes, scanning around. And yeah, and then just kind of stood there in the tree line and just, was staring at me. I think it was kind of like bowing or doing something weird like that. And after I'd had enough, I left. I just started my truck and got out of there. But yeah, so that was Welch's.
Wow. My goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
They're everywhere up there, and they come in to eat the garbage. So if you want to have it, you don't have to go far away and into the woods, to find them. I mean, you can, but you can just go out there and just kind of chill out in people's yards, and they come in and take the garbage, because that's an easy meal, and
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, just there are also bear up there as well, correct?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's black bear. I've never seen a black bear up there. I've seen more Bigfoot than black bear in my life. I think I've seen one or two black bear in my whole life, maybe only one. I have another encounter when I moved out to Central Oregon.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Immediately following this, I'm pretty sure. So I went out to Central Oregon to move back in with my father. He was suffering from just a bad back. He's had multiple surgeries, and I was just trying to leave Portland, start a new life. And so that was like the first anchor I had coming out to Central Oregon. And so this happened in a town called Culver, uh, just out there in the desert. And we lived near this mountain called Round Butte. And I really wanted to go camping and have a little bonfire. And so I drove to the top of the mountain, and the top of the mountain called Round Butte was only about half a mile from my father's house. And I drove up there and I took my dad's little dog. It was a brand new puppy, Yorkshire Terrier. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take the little dog outside finally, and we're gonna go camping and have a campfire, And Round Butte's the tallest mountain in that area outside the Cascades. So, and when you're up there, there's just a room for enough, like one vehicle, maybe two, and a place to camp. And it just goes in like just a perfect round circle. And then there's like a little road that leads down the mountain. So I was camping on the mountaintop, having a bonfire, and I noticed I just started getting really bad, spooky vibes, like I'm being watched. And then I started hearing weird female voices off in the distance. And, I've felt these vibes before. And in my head, I was just like, it sounds like another Bigfoot is like sneaking up on me. And so, I hopped in my Subaru, put the dog in the car, hopped in my little Subaru, and I started just like revving my engine and driving around the top of the mountain, and I took out the green laser. I was like shining it everywhere. I think I started kind of, yelling out the window. In my head, I'm like, I'm just going to reestablish dominance and scare this thing away. Because I was just like kind of sick and tired, of having these experiences. And, finally I was, near my car, and I just wanted to kind of shine it on a little bit. And so after I did that, I drove the half mile back to my father's house. And when I got inside, it was probably around like 8 o'clock. I got inside and I was like, "Hey, Dad, at this point, he's still kind of unsure about Bigfoot." And I was just like, "Man, I just heard one on top of the mountain, Round Butte, with the dog." And he's like, "Really? Are you sure?" I don't know, Matt. And the second, it must have been like 30 seconds to a minute after getting home and explaining everything to my dad, that we both heard the Bigfoot roar at the house, probably like 50 feet away. And man, when it roared, it sounded like a lion, man, and then like I want to say gorilla, but I remember it being like a lion, man, which is like this a huge just a huge. It was just a really loud sound, and I don't know, I can't remember if it shook the house, but we both heard it, and scared us to death. And that night, my dad was like, "Here, Matt, like I'm putting the shotgun right in your window," and I got mine in my room too. And my dad became a believer after that night.
Oh, Matt, that's absolutely wild. That is out in the high desert, right? That area.
Yeah,
How recent was this encounter with you and your father?
I'd say that was in 2023,
Okay, gotcha,
2022,
gotcha.
2023, sometime around there.
Oh my goodness. Is that the most recent thing that you've had happen, or have you had other things happen since then?
I've had a couple more experiences. Also, on top of the experiences I've shared, there's a couple other ones recently where I've heard them screaming in the early morning at the coast at some other fishing locations.
Mm-hmm.
And then at another trip where this was 2 winters ago, near Lincoln City, I took two of my really good fishing buddies up into the mountains up there to go fish for winter steelhead. And there was like a rare snow uh, the night before. At the coast is pretty rare. And the snow was already kind of melting when we got up to the location. And I at this point I told my two buddies like all these experiences. They're like, yeah, whatever, man, And but they're good guys. They're my good friends. And when we pulled up to the fishing spot, I got this on video. It's on my old Google phone. We got up there and I looked up ahead and I was like, oh, this is like a secretive area. Not really expecting anyone to be there. And I looked up ahead. I was like, oh no, like someone beat us to the hole because I could see, footprints going up, the trail in the melting snow. And then when I got up to the footprints, they were probably about like 14 inches long. And, I just remember them being so wide, like 6 inches wide, 7 inches wide. I have a size 11 or a 12 foot. I just remember like sticking my foot into that track, and it looked like my foot compared to like Shaquille O'Neal. And I was like, look, I told you guys, like there's the tracks right there, But yeah, that was 2 winters ago, and then my most recent encounter was last summer. I had just kind of prayed to God, and I was just like, I have had all these scary Bigfoot encounters at night, leaving me half terrified with probably some like PTSD, that trauma I've been dealing with. And I was just like, you know what? I would like to see a happy daytime, safe daytime encounter. And God definitely delivered. The very next fishing trip I went on, I was just hiking out, and I just stopped at a place I would never have stopped. I just got this feeling to stop on my way out, and I just looked over, and I could see one hanging out from a tree. And when I stopped and looked, I just caught it going like that. And the color of it was jet black, and it was probably about like 50 feet away. So that was my most recent encounter. So
Oh,
that was
wow.
last summer.
Um, are you able to share an area that was, I know you might be able to, or you don't give away your fishing spot, definitely, but what area was that around?
Seaside, the mountains behind Seaside.
Oh, okay.
It was
So
the
that was
same area
Seaside. Okay, gotcha.
where I had the
Yep,
first wood knocks and then had the family come
got it.
out, and yeah,
Hmm.
that same area.
Wow.
Yep.
That is really
Yeah. No,
cool that you were able to have that good experience too. So many people I think go for years just having really scary stuff, but good on you for asking specifically.
yeah. Yep. Yep. And yeah, that that basically wraps up most of my Bigfoot encounters. I'm leaving out like a lot of just like other weird stuff that I found, and other weird noises I've heard, but yeah, those are my Bigfoot experiences thus far in life.
I have a question for you. Why do you think it was that the name of Jesus was the only thing that made those things stop for you?
Because he is the King of King and Lord of Lords, and it it's a spiritual battle we're fighting, and like truly, it's just a name that carries a lot of weight and a lot of power. And I firsthand experience with stopping entities dead in their tracks, and getting Bigfoot to leave me alone or go away. So what I've learned is that there is a stark spiritual connection with Bigfoot, UFOs, lights in the woods, orbs, balls of light, and demons. So I truly believe that the Bigfoot are remnants of the Nephilim. They're definitely they're definitely children of the fallen. The Nephilim, in the book of Enoch, it said that, not only did these fallen angels produce giants with human women and giants with human women, but they had, it says in the book of Enoch, they corrupted all flesh. So then that, that tells you that they mix themselves, to put it, in a better terminology, with animals. And so, I've heard a lot of other eyewitness accounts with other cryptids. And so I just firmly believe that ever since the devil got kicked out of heaven, he's been down here on earth, kind of like a mad scientist, mixing himself and making monsters. It's monsters out there.
I will say this: there's definitely some extremely evil things going on in this world. But if the Book of Revelation has anything to say, it won't be going on forever. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Amen.
He's coming back. Jesus is coming back, and people will have to answer for what they've done. So, Matt, you've got some incredible accounts. Thank you for sharing. Keep me in the loop with if you experience anything else out there. I'd love to hear about it. But I'm glad that you're on the right path, and it sounds like you're trying to figure stuff out, and you're well on your way. But thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you.